No, but we're joined online by Robert Joyce. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Fine, thank you very much.
Now, listen, you have a very interesting event coming up, research into MS in the Galway region, to NUI Galway. Tell us a wee bit more about it.
Well, people with multiple sclerosis, one of the very common symptoms that they have are cognitive issues.
Okay.
So by cognitive issues, I would say things like, say, for example, you went into another room and you forgot the reason why you went into the room, or if you were in a group of maybe 3 or 4 people, you might find it difficult to follow the conversations of other people that are in the room. So these are cognitive issues. They impede your ability to live in the world.
Yeah, function properly, I suppose. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that side to MS.
It is, believe it or not, more than 50% of people with MS actually have cognitive issues in one shape or another. And it can be very impeding in your life, and particularly in your work life.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And so what's the research going to look at?
So what we have done is the principal researcher in this has done a small-scale study to see if a particular technique would work to help improve people's ability to manage their cognitive issues. Okay. So it's a program. It lasts 8 weeks, and you would go into this program and you'd be met by an occupational therapist who would start your training, and then you would go into group sessions for 6 sessions, and then you'd have a wrap-up session. So it's an 8-week program that you would be doing.
Yeah.
And you're trained by a professional.
Very good. And you're also meeting people who suffer from the same kind of symptoms, almost like a support group as well.
In one sense, actually it is, because you'll know that other people have similar issues to you, and that there can be an opportunity for learning from each other.
Yeah.
So that's actually quite interesting about it as well. And we really hope that we need to have a broad and very diverse selection of people with multiple sclerosis so that we can see that the technique actually works.
Okay. And so the other plus side is that you're developing a technique that will help you with your cognitive difficulties.
Absolutely. And, in the long term, if this study shows that it's effective, and we're going to be using what's called a randomized controlled trial, and I can go into that later if you want to explain what that means. But if this system works, then it can be rolled out across the country and, in fact, around the world to help people maintain their position in work or help them with their family lives. Because cognition affects everything that you do.
Absolutely, yeah.
I even know myself, one of the issues that I would have, having multiple sclerosis myself, is that, for example, I'm watching the television and then somebody says something.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand. I have to turn off the television or turn off the sound and say, okay, now can you tell me that again so that I can hear you?
And it's like, as you mentioned that you suffer from MS yourself, you're also the first paid PPI in NUI Galway. Tell us a wee bit more about that.
Yes, this is actually a really interesting thing that is happening in the world of medicines and therapies around the world.
Yeah.
When traditionally medicines were developed for patients, but not including patients in the way of studying how the medicines operate.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it has been acknowledged and very well received that getting the patient involved much earlier in the process of a therapy can actually make the cycle of research go quicker, because the patient will be able to say, well, this works for me, that doesn't work for me. Have you looked at it from this angle or from a different angle?
Yeah.
Now, it has been a long struggle for people with chronic illnesses to become involved in research.
Yeah.
But now, for example, in NUIG, they have started to bring patients involved earlier in the process. And I was fortunate, I am fortunate enough to be the first PPI or patient and public involvement representative for an illness or for a new therapy in the university, which I'm really excited about. And it's a tremendous opportunity for me, but also for those that follow.
And Robert, do you have a background in medicine?
No.
That's good. That's good because, it did seem it seems no-brainer to get patients involved in research because, as you said, it's immediate response, and you can actually get quite a coherent response to the research you're carrying out, and so it seems kind of ridiculous it's taken this long for that kind of system to kick in.
It's actually incredible. And for a long time it was, and it probably still is the case in many cases, is doctor knows best.
Yes.
Or the researcher knows best. Or they know what you need without necessarily asking for you.
Yeah.
And the difference is I have multiple sclerosis. I'm 50 now.
Mm-hmm.
I was diagnosed when I was 23. And I have become an expert in my illness.
Yeah.
Because I've had to.
Yeah.
Right? Because I live with it every day. And so I know things in a more intimate way than a researcher ever could.
Mm.
And this means that there's already been a number of changes in the study that we're doing as a result of my involvement in it. Now, I can't tell you exactly what those changes are.
No, that's fine, but that's amazing.
But it is, and I find that really hopeful because, first of all, the researchers are listening.
Yes.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
And once the one researcher listens and sees a benefit, then that can spread out throughout an organization, and then across different organizations, which I find really very, very positive. And for example, with multiple sclerosis, fatigue is a big issue.
Yeah.
And how do you manage fatigue? How do you live your life being just absolutely exhausted all the time? And that is something that we would find very important, but maybe a researcher wouldn't notice that as much.
Yeah.
They wouldn't, because they think it's just like being, I've had a hard night out and I'm a bit tired this morning and I'll recover.
Yeah.
But that's not the case with MS.
I mean, there's that old adage of walk a mile in my shoes to find out what I am, and I think that's very much telling here as well, isn't it? You're giving it an invaluable insight into the research they're carrying out. An optimistic future, I believe. I think that's a brilliant way for research to go.
Me too, and I've actually been involved with another organisation called Paradigm, which is a European organisation that is, again, trying to set up systems and procedures to improve the use of patients in research for new medicines.
Yeah.
So I've actually been over to Brussels as part of that, and sat at a round table where we had the researchers, we had the pharmaceutical companies, we had the payers like government representatives around that table, as well as patients. And we're trying to set up a set of guidelines, almost like a rule book, that would make it easier for these different pillars of the pharmaceutical world to encompass the patient within the research at the very beginning, before it even starts, when you get to the stage where you're saying, oh, maybe we could do something about this, and before the grant proposal is even written.
Yeah.
And that's actually really powerful, because not only with MS, but across all the illnesses that are out there.
That's it, absolutely, yeah.
It is to have a unified system of incorporating the patient within the development of new medicines is actually, I think, groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And it gives hope to people with chronic illnesses that the things that will improve their quality of lives will be addressed first.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Oh no, I think it will be an absolutely incredible change to the way health system is viewed, because as you say, there seems to be a wall there where you have the patients on one side and the medicinal practitioners on the other, and you can question across the divide, whereas this is turning that on its head.
Absolutely, and then it becomes a partnership.
Yeah.
Right? And that, even take this particular phone call, this interview now, I am part of this research, right? And I want to make sure that this research is done in the best possible way for people with MS.
Yes.
And eventually, when a paper is written on this at the end and the research is done, my name will actually be one of the authors of it, because I was part of it.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
And that's really powerful. That really changes the game. And it also means that people with an illness can become advocates of a particular therapy because they know it works and they were involved with it at the beginning.
Yeah. It's like a sworn affidavit for someone who's actually, in there, And now, Robert, coming back to the research, who are we looking for? Age groups?
We're not looking for any particular age groups. We're looking for people, first of all, who have multiple sclerosis and that have some cognitive issues. Okay. And so that's actually quite broad and quite varied. And even if the patient suspects that they might, we can test them to see if there is.
Okay.
And that's actually going to be the first step in the process, is that there's going to be a benchmark taken to see if there are cognitive issues.
Very good, yeah.
And then you'd be accepted into the research. Once you're accepted into the program, and we're looking across the island of Ireland to recruit about 120 people.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more if we can manage it. And this group of people then will be divided into two groups, a Group A and a Group B. Group A will receive the treatment, and Group B won't get the treatment, because we want to see if there are some external factors that are actually making people's cognitions improve naturally. Okay? So if there is a difference at the end of the study between these two groups, that gives us strong evidence that the therapy works. And we will test people immediately after 6 weeks, after 6 months. Once we find that the system works, that's great. We can do our paper. Then all the people who were in the group that didn't receive the treatment will receive the treatment then too.
Very good. Very good.
So everybody will get the treatment. It won't cost anybody anything to get the treatment.
Very good.
It's completely free, because we need people so that we can actually test
it. See if it works. Yeah, absolutely.
See if it works. And if it works, it's fantastic. And
brilliant.
Imagine being part of the group of people that has proven that this can be a success.
And knowing the fact that you've gone and helped everybody else that's suffering the same condition as you are, that's a major step. Now, Robert, if people want to get involved, how do they do that?
Okay, there's 2 ways that people can get in touch with us. The first one is by email.
Yep.
And the email is COB-MS, COB-MS, at nuigalway.ie.
Brilliant.
Okay. And we also have a phone number.
Yep.
And that number is 087 44 91 154.
Very good.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're looking at people in North Connemara, South Connemara. Even if if people here know people in Donegal, Mayo, Cork, and other places around the country, we want to get as broad a geographic spread as we can.
Yeah.
And it's actually really important for people who come from rural Ireland to be included in studies like this, because the dynamic is a little bit different, to the situation that you would have in a city.
Yeah.
So it is very important, and Connemara happens to, and North Donegal happens to have a higher incidence of MS anyway. Yeah. So we need to find a treatment.
Brilliant stuff. Robert, thanks for your time this morning. It's really interesting to talk to you, and it's a really interesting project you're undertaking here. And the fact that we've got, finally, you've got a sufferer involvement, which is brilliant. Is there a deadline on this?
We want to get people before Christmas if we can.
Brilliant.
So there is a good few weeks still to go. But even if you're doubtful, if the person isn't too sure, give us a call. Right?
That's it, yeah.
And it's very easy, and we can talk through it a little bit more in depth. We do have a video that's available that describes the randomized controlled trial system for people to watch on YouTube, and I'm sure we can provide a link for that after this show.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks for your time this morning, Robert. Wish you all the best with it. Unfortunately, we'll run out of time, but we hope to talk to you again soon.
That's super. That's great, Steve. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time, Robert. Okay.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.